Well, hello everyone. Thank you for watching. This is As Real as They Come Dallas. Please, before we get started, hit like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what you think. Ask us questions. We'll be more than happy to answer all of them. And today on our show, we have two wonderful men, our local real estate tycoons. Some on financing side, some on the real estate side. And I would like to have you guys hear a few words about themselves. Jason?
Okay. Jason Brown. I'm this fine young lady's husband. And I've been in real estate for almost 30 years. I concentrate mainly on the residential side. Do a little bit of commercial. Like to do flips. It's one that I'm working on right now. We also manage about 120 properties. We're kind of everything that is residential real estate. So it's good to be here today so I can maybe share some of that experience with you and Tony.
Well, thank you, Jason, for your introduction. And Tony, tell us a few words about yourself.
Great. So my name is Tony Ferrari. I'm with Mid-America Mortgage, and I own and operate the Ferrari team. And just recently, I acquired a new assistant. Her name is Yulia Brown, who's sitting right here, who invited me today, and thank you.
Girl.
But I've been in mortgage lending for going on 20 years, with Mid-America Mortgage for 5. And the last 5 years have been really dynamic. I've built a big group and expanded my business. I think it doubled every single year, so it's been a lot of fun. So hopefully I can share some of the things that I'm doing with the business. Now we've got Yulia part of that team in this little podcast.
So why lending? How did you create that passion?
Mortgage lending. Well, that's a great question. I kind of fell into it. So a good friend of mine from Texas Tech University who actually works at Mid-America Mortgage, he runs the Norse Group.
Chuck. Yeah, we know Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck
He's
Norse.
awesome.
Great guy. We actually ran into each other at a bar. We both graduated from Texas Tech, and I was expecting my first baby. I'd been laid off from back end part of the mortgage business where I was doing mitigation and like getting stuff ready for foreclosure. Mm-hmm. And quickly after 1 year of that, I was like, that's not for me. I'm ruining people's days. This is not fun. I was like, I see the other side of this business as something I'd like to venture in. And just happened to run into Chuck. He's like, hey man, I just started a job at a mortgage company. They're hiring. And I said, I've got a baby coming. I need a job. I just moved back and I'm with my now wife, and kind of fell into the mortgage business that way and started flourishing with a company called New Century Mortgage, which was actually a subprime mortgage company. So obviously that was a short stint. And then I went into the different side of the business, which is the conforming, conventional, and transferred with Plains Capital, which is a Lubbock-based company, here to prime lending, and shifted around a little bit. And now I have settled in at Mid-America Mortgage for the last 5 years.
And Jason, we know a few words about you there and there, but tell us what was your journey like with real estate and where did you start?
Well, it was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Before cats were kittens?
Yeah, that's right. You were just a child, and I started in the real estate business. Third generation of my family in real estate, so I think I was all the things I never wanted to be, married and behind a desk, and now I'm doing both of those things. So, but it's been great. We manage, as I said before, about 120 properties, so that gives me a good base of clients and customers. So I'm able to help transition a lot of those people that were tenants into homeowners, and then I get to work with the landlords that are still trying to build their portfolios into something that they can use as passive income as they become older and retire and that kind of thing. So I've enjoyed the real estate side just because I'm able to help people kind of transform what they're doing in their day-to-day lives into something that they can have as an investment later. And in all of that, I've created kind of like you get a passion for doing a certain part of the business, and property management isn't sexy. But again, it churns out a lot of different opportunities for us, and it's sometimes you take on a listing and it becomes a sale later. So those are the kind of things that I enjoy doing, is turning those into something else. And as far as the flipping part of my business, that's probably my favorite. I think I love that the most, because you can take a property that was horrible and $150,000 later, it's a nice place. So, and then you have the opportunity to sell it on the other side and kind of make a new family happy with that. So those are the kind of things about the residential part that I really enjoy doing.
What about converting a renter to an actual buyer?
Yeah, that's a trick
fun
for me, and that's something that, especially 20 going into 2021, I want to focus on more, because I think it's, for me, I need to change a little bit of my identity for my tenant, because a lot of them see me as their manager and not necessarily their agent. So again, that's a communication thing. When you're trying to find new ways to expand your business within your business, because you've got a clientele just waiting to be helped. And this is something where, partnering with you in Mid-America, we can contact those people and say, hey, you're 6 months out. Let's talk about getting you qualified and get you into a property. So then maybe I become more of a help to them than somebody who's trying to help them take care of their house.
That's one of the most fun things for me to do, is take a first-time home buyer that doesn't see what it takes to buy a house. They think they're stuck, they're can't do it, and then we put a strategy together, sometimes 6 months or sometimes right away, and they're just thrilled about it. So that's something I'm passionate about, is helping people on the new side that don't know how to do it, and really baby stepping them through and showing them the way, and then keeping those clients for 10-20 years. So I enjoy that.
So speaking of first-time home buyers, a lot of people get confused about the process, but also whoever knows anything about real estate, and we all know our neighbors are the best people that know about everything. Our relatives know everything about everything. But so the number one thing that people get advised on is, you got to shop your interest. And that's, in my opinion, from my experience, I think that's where people get really tricked into lower interest, but then that's not what's delivered. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Absolutely. You have, I think, 3 different classifications of lenders out there. You've got your big guys, which is your Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Chase, and they get the job done, right? They can do stuff, but underwriting shipped off to Connecticut. Their turn times aren't quite as bad. You don't get the personal touch, and you don't get expert advice, because that loan officer's dealing with a huge portfolio. They're not highly paid, and they're shuffling one job into about 5 to 6 different people. And so, that's what happens with the big banks. When you look at some of the internet discount type of lenders, you get what you pay for there. You look them up on Bankrate or some other website, and you're talking to a loan officer in Connecticut or California. What do they know about the Texas market? How can they give you a strategic advantage, set you up with the right partners and a good real estate agent, know the good title companies and things. So when it comes to looking for the right lender, there's a perfect fit. And that's kind of how I see myself, is because we have the products from the banks, but we also have the local community in the Metroplex covered. So we do have all the contacts around town, speed, efficiency, and service, where typically, there's one that's doing this, speed, or they're not doing the efficiency, or they're bidding bad service, where we try to give everything that they don't do in all in one, and we do it at the same kind of price, the same kind of rates, and then we make them clients for life. Over 20 years of lending, there's multiple customers we've worked with for 6, 7, 8 times. It's fun to watch them buy a $100,000 house in Lubbock, Texas, moved to Midland, bought a $200,000 house, went to Dallas, got a $300,000. Now they're in Houston, $700,000 house. Watching some of my clients that have stuck with me, because we did a good job the first time and kept that level of service and communication with them over the years. So that's kind of what you get with a smaller local lender, where if you go to the bigger lenders, Quicken, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, some of those guys, you don't have that. The big banks are looking for your checking, your credit cards, not just your mortgage. All I care about is the mortgage, making sure that's perfect. Have your banking relationship separate.
And plus, I think it also has to do with the type of licensing that they get. Usually big banks and loan officers, originators with big bank, they're a blanket license, which means a person in Texas is licensed under the bank with 50 other states. But the thing is, like you said, their knowledge and their expertise is not there. Plus, the level of responsibility is not there as well. Because when you give your word, when you give your consultation, you actually put your license on the line for that to be truthful and honest advice to
Absolutely.
your best expertise as well.
Legally, we're held to those kind of standards now. Frank Dodd Act came out about 2011. That really changed the dynamic of like a set pay structure for loan officers, different time frames that some of us might like, appraisal separation from lender to the appraiser. It's coming through a third party. So some of those things have made a fair playing field in the business, which is good. And then there's some bad to it. Everything when it's dealing with like a big government regulation, it's not perfect, but I do feel it's better.
That's great. Thank you. And Jason, 2020 is an interesting year. What have you seen since the beginning? How is the market looking?
Oh my gosh. I think we're in a blessed place for sure. Texas has always been able to perform. I lived through 2008, 2009, and 10 and watched all that crumble apart. But again, it's always going to create a different type of opportunity. And I think we've been fortunate here just because there's so much business here already. We're a great state with good resources. We've got coastline, we've got jobs. There's a lot of opportunity there for us and for our customers and our clients. So 2020 has not been bad. I'm really kind of interested to see what the end of this summer is really going to look like, because I'm going through a lot of inventory. I'm going through a lot of turnover, and I've got a lot of people. And, of course, we've done lots of deals just since we came working with you, and there is a difference. When you're dealing with a local lender and you have that kind of contact, somebody that's not really doing this every day doesn't have a feel for what that means, when you can actually get in touch with who's processing your loan and figure out where it's at, what it's doing. Like Tony said, it's not getting shipped off to Connecticut or something. You've got all this kind of in-house to where you're touching it, the real time. And that makes a difference because people, they might get caught up in rate shopping, and they do it without actually having a full loan app in. And if you don't have a full loan app in and somebody's quoting you, and you know this better than anybody, somebody's quoting you a rate, they really don't know what they're quoting you. They're just throwing a rate out there, and then when it comes time to actually underwrite you, they're like, well, because this factor, that factor, you have another car, or you own your kid's apartment or whatever. All these debt to income ratios pop up, and all of a sudden your rate went from 3 to 3.25, and then they're mad at you. So you got to fully disclose and understand what you're doing as a buyer to figure that part out. And that's what's great about y'all, because you get that full loan app, and then you go, this is what's real. Until you've done that, you just don't have a real picture.
Well, you'll be lucky if your rate just jumped 0.25%.
Yeah.
You'll be lucky to close it if that payment popped up.
It's spanned a little bit on 2020. 2020 so far in my team's business that Yulia's part of is actually record breaking. And it's crazy with the times with COVID, and now we've got some racial stuff that's going on, but people in Texas and the Metroplex are still really aggressive buying houses right now. And so as far as when I look at projections, because I go back the year before, see where we're at, because I'm always wanting to grow my business a certain percentage. We're actually on a 20% growth so far into this spring. The thing is, it started a little bit late on the new construction side, the purchase side, because of COVID, because of the regulations that, no one wanted to go look at houses and things like that. But it's definitely turned the corner just like that. So now the switch is on. Multiple offers coming in on properties. I'm sure you're seeing that. So we're trying to give our clients competitive advantage to win those offers, like, hey, do this, do that, or throw a little bit more money. Those are strategies we all use. But that part of the year, as of June 1st, has taken off. I think it took off about May 15th. And we've got about maybe 10 to 15 new purchase transactions in that amount of time. So it's a good time to be out there. Inventory's high, supply and demand. So
I know that lenders are usually the red-headed stepchildren that are not very much appreciated by people, but it's one of those, like, you schedule an appointment with proctologists, you still have to go see them. Everybody loves the realtor.
Dig deep into your
exactly. So everybody loves the realtors. They
That-
show all the beautiful homes, but when is the good time to go and see and consult the lender?
Well, you should know this, but my team, we love to operate. We love to operate meeting people face to face. The agents have the blessing because they're showing homes or, going into the house. Lenders don't, but we always like to try to set a face-to-face meeting up. It's kind of tough if they live in California, other parts of the country, but I find that it's very valuable to our business and the longevity of that relationship to sit down with somebody face to face, get to know them. I mean, we're playing golf with clients, doing some fun stuff, getting to know their families, and it makes a better business relationship. Just having a meeting, care about what their needs are, go through their financial plan, put together the numbers that matter for them. Yeah, you can spend $1 million on a house, but then you won't be able to do anything else. Let's go spend here and, get things right and talk about. And it takes a lot more than just a basic mortgage application to find those things out. And so I take pride in doing that.
Yeah.
I take pride in doing that because I'll tell somebody when you're making a mistake, I can do it, you can buy it, but tell me what I'm missing, because, this isn't leaving anything for Walt Disney World with the kids and other stuff. So let's make sure we're thinking about this right now.
That's one thing about you when we talked a few different times, that you're about that.
Absolutely.
Like one of our buyers that we've got under contract now in the new build, you were very sensitive to that. You're like, hey, you look like you're about to push your envelope and you're going to get higher than your budget that you want to be. And, you had that conversation with him. So I think he feels like you're invested in what his longevity is. It's not just bang, get it in the house, because what you want to do after you close the deal is have somebody come back to you and go, thank you. Or they see you at the grocery store. They're like, wow, thanks. You helped me get a great house. And then they'll actually refer you to their friends. And that makes a difference.
That's what we're all in the business for, man, is to get some referrals back to our partners, make sure they're taken care of, because then it happens naturally.
Yeah.
Just taking care of people. So, it's another thing you look at is, how much money. Some people come to me and say, I want to put $400,000 down on a house right now. That house is $500,000. I'm like, cool. Well, that's easy, right? Yeah, $100,000 mortgage. For some people, maybe in the older, close to retirement age folks, that makes some sense. But if you're 40, I disagree. So I'm like, let's take that money and invest it and go make 5% in some treasury bonds. Let's go look at some things that you can make 5%. Then when you get to that point in your life where you want the house paid off, that investment caught that plus, and then you're making more money. So some people make basic financial mistakes, and most of my competition does not look at the mortgage business that way. Well, the mortgage business is a key component of anybody's finance for their household, for the family. So spending the time to make sure it's done right and finding ways to make more money, because with rates at 3%, and you can see the stock market where it's at, and go get 7, and your rate's 3, and you can go gain 4%. I think 4% on nothing is better than tying it up. So, when you show people that, they really, really appreciate that. So do a lot of that. Those are the consultations that I'm showing Yulia that I'm doing, is spending those extra 30 minutes to really find out what's going on.
And I love the fact that you are a really great mentor, not just to your clients, but also to people that surround you. There are young loan officers that reach out to you, that you also have some classes for them to help them succeed. And I think the true definition of success is actually when you take your experience and share it with others, and make sure that, it's not just me being successful, but you're confident to share it and not intimidated that somebody's going to be better than you. I think that's phenomenal, because you don't see that very often.
I actually live that. It's been life-changing in the last 5 years for me to actually live and learn that piece, because that's a new piece of my business as a loan officer that I wasn't doing 10 years previously, is caring about the extra money or the money going in and looking at that aspect. I was actually following Dave Ramsey's advice. I was working with a company called Churchill. If you guys know who Dave Ramsey is, he's really, don't have debt, don't have credit cards, things like that. But there's principles I learned from there, but expanded on to build wealth, not just in real estate. And so those tactics make a lot of sense to me. And so when you look at somebody's specific situation and show them how they can make an extra $100,000 in 10 years, not just in their house, elsewhere.
Wait a minute, we want to hear about that right now.
We have to go through specific numbers, but I could show you.
Schedule an appointment. Yeah. How do I get through to you?
Well, you got to call people.
Yeah, right.
You got to
My
know
assistant
people.
can set up a time between 2 and 4 on Tuesday next week.
Yeah.
But also, Jason,
Yes.
there are a lot of people convinced that when they list the property or when they buy the property, that 3% or 6% when they list the house, that is a huge hit on their bottom line. Can you expand on the fact that what are the benefits of using the licensed real estate agent?
Well, I think you want to back up a little bit more. Most people, if they've sold a few houses in their days as a seller, they might think, hey, I can do this for sale by owner. So the internet has done a great job at putting out a lot of information, but if you don't have the expertise or experience of how to evaluate that and how to get through that process, because it's not easy for me either. You know, I go through a lot of education every year. I've learned what to do and what not to do when listing a house. So, you know, if you're looking only at what your fee base is to the people that are going to help you sell it, that's probably the wrong approach. What you need to do is look at what you think your net needs to be and try and build on that to get the services in there so you can actually tackle that listing. You know, for what I like to do is put together that whole marketing plan for the property, and that's, you know, that's drones, that's interior pics, that's video, that's me doing YouTube, that's color flyers, of course that's MLS syndication. There's a lot of things that you can do as an individual to put your property out there, but if you don't really have the expertise behind it, you may get a buyer that you think is good and it turns out they're terrible and you didn't know it because you don't know what you're doing. So it's really important to kind of figure out, you know, where your market is, price it properly, and good agents have good buyers. And they're going to come to your property if you've set it up properly. So there's a lot of things as just an individual that you don't have the ability to do. So it's not just, hey, I'm going to get a $500 listing for my property and then it'll get syndicated and people just show up and, you know, do it. It doesn't really work that way. You need to put all that package together, and then when you put it out there and people come, you know how to proof those people. You know, because all your buyers, if they're not pre-qualified, I don't even want to look at their contract. So like, you know, this listing that we're going to put on Thursday, you guys are going to be part of that package. You're going to be part of that team because we're going to be able to properly market that thing and then put it on the market. You know, we'll be able to look at all the financial side of it, where you can put together a few different types of loan programs, you know, because I think this will go qualify in the FHA range for Plano. So we can appeal to even a larger market then. So there's, you know, you got to have those things together in order to really push your product.
Yeah, and it's also what does your time cost, right? Because if you're doing for sale by owner and you have a property, you want to list it, what does your time worth? Because I'm pretty sure most people already have their own full-time job. Are you there to meet these people? And also safety concerns.
Absolutely.
Who are these people coming through your property? Are they, like you said, are they pre-qualified? Are they there just to check out your property and see when you go to for work what they can
steal from you?
Take from you, yes.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing. And
I can touch on that too. I mean, just from my 20 years experience, I've never listed a home or sold a home or bought a home without using one of my partners, one of my agents, because even though I think I know everything on their side of the business, which I want to, and I do know most things, I don't know how to market it. I don't know how to listen, nor do I have time to do that. So I always pay a professional. I pay a professional to manage my money. I pay a professional, you know, sell a house. I pay a professional if I want a custom-made shirt. I don't do those things myself. Leave it to the experts. Mm-hmm. They'll net you more on the house if you did it yourself, even paying commissions. Yeah. Almost. There's a percentage out there. I don't know exactly what that is.
It's above 90% when you're talking about for sale by owners that end up actually listing.
And buyers going out and buying something without representation. So definitely good to use an agent. Yeah. I always recommend it. Mm-hmm. Always recommend
Absolutely. And also the price. Are you priced at the fair market value as well? Because you can either inflate it or cheat yourself. You're thinking you're saving yourself $12,000, but you might be losing $20,000. So that's a big deal.
Absolutely.
And last but not least question, a lot of people were asking about down payment assistance, because in the past years we were sort of spoiled on that, but I know that recently that's been not a factor.
So down payment assistance, right now liquidity is a problem for the banks. So there's some good products for people that just don't have money to put down on a house. Unfortunately, most of those have exited due to the liquidity concerns from the banks. So like T-Shack and Seth were a couple of Texas programs that gave money, their 3 or 3.5% or up to 5% down payments for homes, but they've really restricted the guidelines to make it impossible or just done away with it completely. My company actually had one internal that we designed just like that cut out all the fat to make it a little bit simpler to do and close quicker to keep our customers happy. And due to the liquidity concerns, and liquidity concerns is coming from forbearance. Okay, so forbearance during COVID, people are not making payments for 6 months. What some people don't understand when that forbearance is taking place for that client is that somebody is still making that payment. And if it's not you, it's the bank or the servicer. And so if you had $1 billion of loans in forbearance, that's going to cost that bank or institution a lot of money. And so they're having to move their liquidity from one side, which is new business and lending, over to maintaining their servicing portfolio. And so when that happens, the money's shifted, so they restrict it. Okay, that's not going to be anything that's permanent. Let's hope COVID goes away, we come up with a vaccine, and everything's gone with that. So, the lenders and the banks will get aggressive with that type of stuff again. But down payment assistance is a tough thing to talk about right now because it's dynamic and it's changing.
Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I think this is very conclusive, and I would like to thank our listeners. Thank you for all the wonderful questions, and if you have some more questions, feel free to write us, and I'll be more than happy to line them up and bring these wonderful gentlemen back on our show. And please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be more than happy to be there with you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Tony Ferrari, the Ferrari team with Mid-America Mortgage, and Jason Brown with Solutions Real Estate Texas.
Have a good day, y'all.
Thank you.